We're talking this month about new beginnings. And the excitement of new beginnings will keep you from going to sleep right now, because I'm excited about new beginnings. New beginnings, doing something new, starting from where we are right here, right now, and moving forward. We talked about being on the brink. We've something new. We've also talked about breaking the cycle of what was. And so today I'd like to talk with you just a little bit about stepping boldly in a new direction. Stepping boldly in a new direction, not just stepping in a new direction, but stepping boldly in a new direction. Stepping boldly, meaning with confidence, willing to take risks, and willing to just move forward without concerns or cares or fears or whatever the case may be. But recognizing also that, as Hafiz says, a risk is only a risk if we're not taking God with us. And so we don't have to be concerned about taking risks when we are stepping boldly. We're just being confident that it's time to move in a new direction. And that is what we are doing. That's what I'm reminding you of today, that we are moving in a new direction. And taking a step in a new direction doesn't mean just stopping what you're doing or stopping where you are. It means that you really have to take a step in the new direction, in a new direction. If you're headed south, then you have to turn a different way to go west, or a different way to go east, whatever the case may be. But when you're headed in a different way, you have to turn. If you're headed south, you're going to have to turn right to go west, or you have to turn left to go east. But you cannot just continue or just stop where you are. You just can't stop and say, well, I'm headed in a different direction, because that's not the way that works. I remember reading a quote from someone, I don't remember who it was. It said that a liar doesn't cease to be a liar when he stops lying. A liar ceases to be a liar when he stops lying and begins to tell the truth. That's heading in a new direction. Stops lying and begins to tell the truth. So if we're headed in one direction, if we just stop, if we're headed south, or if we're headed north and we just stop, we're still headed north. We just stopped. So what we have to do to go in another direction is make a turn, do something different, head a totally different way. And so that's what I'm encouraging us to do today, is to head in a different direction. And, heading in a different direction means as Howard Thurman says, it means striking out on a path that's never been trod before. And he says it takes courage to strike out on a path that's never been trod before. And, a path that's never been trod before sometimes means that when we strike out a new direction, we're leaving people behind. We're leaving places behind. We're leaving situations behind. We're leaving the past behind. And sometimes that gets to be a little scary. Sometimes it does take courage to do that, because it means that everything is changing when we are heading in a new direction. But, once we decide to head in a new direction, then we are also making a decision to recognize and realize that every moment of our lives, each moment of the day, we have an opportunity to live the rest of our lives in a different way, to live the rest of our lives in the way we want, to have the kind of life we want for the rest of our lives. That's one of the beauties of heading in a new direction, and really being bold enough to do that. Being bold enough to say, I want a different life. I want a new life. I want my life to go in a different direction. Because, we are here because we have the mental equivalent of here. You are where you are because you have the mental equivalent of being where you are. We cannot have that for which we do not have a mental equivalent. And so if you want to go there, if you want your life to be there, then we have to have the mental equivalent of there, wherever there is. So whatever it is that you want, wherever it is you want to be, however it is you want your life to be, we have to have the mental equivalent of that. And so I'm encouraging you to really make the decision that you are really ready to move in a new direction, that you are really ready to step boldly into in a new direction, to really go for it, to really be willing to head in a new direction, so that you're beginning to have the kind of life that you really want, so that you're beginning to make every moment count, so you're beginning to make every day count, so that you're beginning to really make decisions that are for your highest and best, make choices that are for your highest and best, do things that you haven't done before, live your life in a way that you haven't lived your life before. And so that's what it means to head in a new direction, to really make the decision to go for it. And now's the time to go for it. Now's the time to go for whatever it is we want. Now's the time to head in the direction that we want to have more peace, to have more love, to have more joy, to have more laughter, to have more fun, to have more friends, to have whatever it is we want in our lives, to have more abundance, whatever that means to you, to have more prosperity, to have more health, whatever that means to you. That's where that's what it means, that if you want more of that, you can't get it being right where you are right now. In order to get more, you got to do something different so that you have the mental equivalent of it, so that you be in a place and space where we can attract that in. And so just making sure that we are headed in the right direction. We're headed in a new direction. We're headed in a new direction. And I have to always just stop for a moment and ask, where is it that you want to go? Where is it that you want to be? What is it that you would like to have? What is it that you'd like to experience? Just asking yourself those questions. What would I like to experience in my life? And then, am I that? Am I that place and space through which that whatever that experience is? If it's more peace in my life, if it's more joy, if it's more harmony, if it's more money, if it's a better relationship, whatever the case may be, am I that? Am I that place and space through which what I desire can be expressed? Because it can only be expressed through us, according to our own consciousness. And so if I'm not, then I'm willing to head in a new direction. I'm willing to boldly, with confidence, step in a new direction. Step in a new direction. And we don't have to be, we don't have to analyze it. We don't have to analyze how we're going to get there. We don't have, because God is in the details. God already knows how you're going to get there. And whatever, all you have to do is make your decision where it is you want to go, what it is you want. What it is that you want, and then turn in that direction. Walk in the direction of whatever it is you want. Walk in the direction of your desires. Walk in the direction of your prayers. Walk in the direction of your heart's desire. That's what heading in a new direction is all about. Is walking in the direction of the thing that you desire. And so the things that I'd like to encourage you to do today, after I encourage you to take a breath here, is to starting out with, keep on going, keep on stepping, keep on stepping, keep on stepping in the direction of what it is you want. Don't let, don't analyze whether it is, this is the place that you should be going, why I haven't gotten there before, what kept me back in the past. We don't have to analyze it. There's an old science of mind saying that analysis equals paralysis. Analysis equals paralysis. Once we start analyzing, we're stuck in that place of analyzing and trying to figure it out. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. Keep on moving. Head in a new direction. And if you just got to analyze it while you're going in the new direction. Try to figure out why, whatever it was. But you don't have to sit still to analyze what happened, why you didn't get there. What did I do wrong? What did I do right? What could I have done better? Coulda, shoulda, wouldas. We don't have to get caught up in all that. You can just, just keep on stepping, keep on stepping. And sometimes, that sounds easier than it is, because fear can hold us back. It's pretty scary to head in a new direction, particularly when we think about leaving behind those things that are familiar, those things that are comfortable. It's pretty scary to do that. It can be that whole fear thing crops up. But, Gibran in the prophet says that fear keeps us from laughing all of our laughter and weeping all of our tears, because we aren't feeling anything fully. We aren't experiencing the fullness of life. It keeps us from laughing all of our laughter and weeping all of our tears. So that means that we aren't fully expressing. So being willing to keep on going, to keep on stepping. As I said, keep on stepping in the direction of what you want. Keep on stepping in the direction of your prayer work. Keep on stepping. Keep on stepping. Keep on moving forward. That is what we want to do. That is what we want to do always, to keep on stepping, keep on stepping. And even when it gets tough, because the going may get tough as we head in a new direction, because everything's new and we are dealing with new beginnings. And sometimes when the going gets tough, we feel like, people talk about they're going through hell. It feels like going through hell. And as my teacher always said, just keep on going. Don't set up camp. When you feel like you're going through hell, just keep on going and move on through it. and move on through it, because there is a way through. But that's the only way we get to the other side of it, is by going through, by going through, by going through. And when we head in a new direction and the going gets a little rough and it feels like you're going through hell, fasten those spiritual seatbelts. Fasten those seatbelts. Hunker down. Hunker down in what we know to be true. Hunker down into that place where we know that the power and the presence of God is right where we are. Right where we are, always guiding, always directing, always right where we are. That from which we can never be separate. But the important thing is for us to keep on stepping, to keep on stepping, to keep on stepping, to make your commitment to yourself, to keep on stepping. And then the second thing I'd like you to do is to release the burden of perfectionism. Release the burden of perfectionism. Release the burden of perfectionism. Perfectionism is self-abuse of the highest order. Perfectionism is self-abuse of the highest order, because we hold ourselves to such high standards, and we have to always be right. We have to always do everything perfectly. That is really, 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 really not good. Letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. Letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. That's not the way we want to go. We want to just be where we are and do the very best we can in any given moment of any given day. But recognizing that our idea of perfection is, our idea of what's perfect is not the truth. It's not the truth. We are always required to do the very best that we can. And some days our best will be better than other days. Sometimes our best will be better than other times, because there are so many things, so many factors that go into the best that we can do in any given moment of any given day. But when we get into that place of having to be perfect, then we get into that place of we can't ever be wrong. We got to always be right. And then we start to blame other people so that we can be right. And all kinds of things, the kind of mushrooms, it just kind of mushrooms. And we don't want to get caught up in that. We don't want to be caught up in that. We want to just let go of the burden of perfectionism and recognize that it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to not know. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to fall off the wagon. It's okay to fall off the wagon, so long as we have the intention to get back on. We have the intention of continuing to move forward. We have the intention of, if I was heading in this direction, in one direction, and it wasn't working, then being willing to head in another direction, being willing to head in a new direction, being willing to step boldly in a new direction is what we have to do. And so just keeping in mind that we can make a change in our lives, and we can let that change be easy and effortless, or easier. It doesn't have to be that hard. It can be easier if we are willing to just allow ourselves, give ourselves a break, cut ourselves some slack, forgive ourselves for mistakes that we make, forgiving ourselves for mistakes that we make, forgiving ourselves for not always doing our best, forgiving ourselves for things that we did in the past, forgiving ourselves for whatever it is that we may be holding, taking a deep breath, fastening those seat belts, and then being willing to move forward, being willing to move forward, being willing to do the very best that we can in any given moment of any given day. That's what we want to do. That's where we want to be. And then the third thing we want to do is to be willing to surrender to the process. Surrender to the process, knowing that it is a process. Life is a process. Life itself is a process. And so as we go through these things that come up in our lives, we're going through a process. As we head in a new direction, as we start to step and walk in the direction of our prayer work, that's a process. Because we're used to oftentimes praying for one thing and going off totally in a different direction than it is from what we're praying for. Asking for one thing and looking in another direction, saying that we want one thing and doing another thing. We're used to doing all those things. And it's a process to make that change. It's a process to turn that ship around. It's a process to really move forward and to step in the direction of what it is we want, what it is we desire. It's a process to do that. And so I'm inviting you to recognize that it's a process, and to surrender to the process. Because to head in a new direction, to step in a new direction, takes not only courage, it takes faith. It takes faith. And it takes trust. Anytime the word surrender comes up, the word trust needs to be right there beside it. Anytime surrender comes up, the quality trust needs to be right there beside it. It needs to be right there with it, because in order to surrender, you got to trust. In order to take your hands off that bar that you've been holding on to and just let go like this, you got to trust. You got to be willing to trust. And your trust has to be in God, the only thing that's real, more than it's in anything else. Your trust has got to be in God more than anything else, because God is that is always with us. It is that power and that presence that can never leave us. It can never be separate from us. We can never be separate from it. It is that leads us, feeds us, guides us, and protects us. That's what God leads us, feeds us, guides us, and protects us. And then loves us too. And so, that whole idea of having to do this all by myself, we don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. The lead into the song I Release and Let Go is, there was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all by myself. Didn't know that the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. That's what we have to come to know, that the grace of God is sufficient. The love of God is at hand. God is always right where we are. Always available to guide us, direct us, to protect us, to lead us, to feed us. Yea, though I walk through the valley in the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. God is always with us, always right where we are. Always right where we are. And so when we move into that place of trusting, as we surrender to the process, moving into that place of trusting and allowing God to be God in our lives, as our lives, then we can feel comfortable moving in that new direction, stepping in that new direction, and stepping boldly into it, stepping boldly into a new direction. And that's what we want to do, to be bold about it. Now's the time to be bold in our lives. Now's, we have had 2 years of being at home, 2 years of living differently, 2 years of being insular, 2 years of being isolated for some of us, 2 years of being, everything being different, everything being unknown in a way that things have been unknown in the past. It's different now. And so for us to be in a place where we are maybe coming out of that whole 2-year period of being isolated, where are we going to go now? Where do you want to go from here? How do you want to go from here? When do you want to go from here? Asking yourself the question, what do you want your life to look like now? Because we have the opportunity to make that decision. What do I want my life to look like now? What do I want my life to feel like now? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? How do I want to live? How do I want to feel? These are all questions for us to ask ourselves. What kind of work do I want to do? What kind of fun do I want to have? What kind of friends do I want to have? What kind of friend do I want to be? What kind of a partner do I want to be? Whatever the case may be. These are all questions for us to ask as we move forward in this stepping in a new direction. Because we're already, the new direction is laid out before us. The path is already laid out before us. We don't have to walk it alone. We don't have to walk it alone. And so as we get into the point of surrendering to the process and trusting God, knowing that we don't have to walk it alone, then in order for us to be in that place where we can really trust, we have to be in that place where we know God. We have to be in that place where we know God, and we know God by practicing the presence of God. We know God by returning to God over and over and over again. We know God by opening our minds and opening our hearts and opening our entire being and really engaging in our regular spiritual practice, meditating every day, praying every day. And whatever, reading every day, journaling every day, whatever your spiritual practice is, engaging in it every day, so that we're in that place where we are always, always feeling our oneness, always really knowing for certain that God is always God, that God is always God, no matter what our emotional storm may be. No matter what our personal situation may be, God is always God. And it's so long as we are at one with that allness and that fullness that is God, it expresses in and through and as our lives. And the healing happens in our lives in ways that we cannot even imagine. In ways that we cannot even imagine. So I'm inviting you, step boldly in a new direction. Step boldly in a new direction. And if you're not sure what that direction is, trust God to guide you. Trust God to show you. Ask. Ask. Let that be a part of your prayer work. Let that be a part of what you have practitioners praying for you about. If you're not sure, God is always available to guide us, to direct us. And those answers that we need come to us through us. They also come from practitioners. They also come from situations, circumstances. We're always getting the answers. And the more available we are, as a result of our spiritual practice, the more guidance, the more aware we are of the guidance that we are always receiving, of the guidance that is always right where we are. And so I invite you to really, really, really be bold. This is a time, Rev.Sherry was talking about the big, bold vision that she will be taking us through in the new foundations class. Be bold, because that's a new direction also. Looking at the big, bold vision. The big, bold vision for your life. So be bold in being willing to step in that new direction. Taking that foundations class is a part of the new direction also, heading in a new direction, because CLF is stepping into a new direction. And we all are stepping in a new direction, and we want to step in a new direction together as a community, boldly, boldly, boldly. That's exciting, to be bold about it, to be confident about it. To be willing to just be in a situation where there are no holds barred, just saying yes. And that's what no holds barred means, to just say yes, just say yes. And that's what surrendering is all about, just say yes. And so I'm inviting you, just say yes to boldly stepping in a new direction. And watch your life take off in ways that you cannot even imagine. You cannot even begin to imagine. That's why it's important to keep those seatbelts fastened and just say yes. And so I invite you now to, let's just turn within. Let's just take a deep breath together. As we turn within in this moment, just knowing and sensing and feeling God's presence right here, right now, just knowing that the opportunity to move in a new direction comes from just knowing that power and that presence that is God is right here, right now, right where we are, that power and that presence that is the only power and that presence, that is the only presence, the only mind, the only life, the only activity is my very life. It is my life. It is that from which I can never be separate, from which I can never be separate. It is always, always right where I am. This is a truth that I know, and this is a truth that I know for each and every person. Each and every situation, each and every circumstance, that God is in the midst of everything. And so I speak the word for all of us this day, just speaking a word of boldness to walk in a new direction, to the boldness and the courage to walk in the direction of our prayer work, the boldness and the courage to live a new life, to live our best lives. I'm speaking that word for each one of us. Just knowing that as we release and let go of the fear and the doubt and the anxiety and the what ifs and the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, as we let go of all that, then we create a space for the allness and the fullness of God to express in and through and as our very lives in ways that we cannot even imagine. Healing is happening in our lives. Healing is happening in body temples. Healing is happening in our bodies of affairs. Healing is happening in relationships. Healing is happening in our financial affairs. All needs are being met in each and every moment of each and every day, because God is in the midst of everything. God shows up in every life, and whatever it is that may be needed at any given time. How grateful I am to know this truth. How grateful I am to know this truth. How grateful I am to know this truth. And so I know that as we walk forward from this place, God has gone before each one of us, making straight our way. God has gone before each one of us, making straight our way in ways that we can't even know, that we can't even imagine. We just open up and just trust. Trust God to be God, knowing that God is always being God. And we trust God to be God and allow God to be God in each of our lives. And know that all things are made new as we move forward with new beginnings. And so as I pause momentarily in this circle of prayer, I will pause for you to speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer this day. You may speak their name silently or loud, and you may speak them now. So for all those whose names were spoken here this day, I know that God is in the midst of everything. God is where each one is, blessing and keeping them. This prayer goes out to anyone on this planet needing a prayer this day. Anyone on this planet needing a prayer this day, knowing that God is in the midst of every situation, every circumstance, every event, no matter what we call it, no matter what the appearance may be, God is in the midst of everything. And I always pray for our government officials, just knowing that decisions that are being made on in the consciousness of that which is for the highest and best for all, that there's unity, for God unifies everything and everyone. And any appearance of separation, any appearance of divisiveness just falls away, is healed. This is the word that I speak. This is the truth that I know, for I know that God is. That's all I need to know, is that God is. And so I just simply say, thank you, Father, Mother God, for the blessings of our lives. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for everything. I know that all is well. I know that all is God. I simply allow it to be, and so it is.